What if we could actually find the hidden rules that run the world? I'm talking about the real cause and effect chains that govern everything, from how proteins signal inside our cells all the way up to how human societies are structured. For decades, this has been a central quest for scientists. And today, we're going to look at a really powerful new AI model called DAG GNN that's giving us a whole new lens to see these hidden connections.
Okay, let's dive right in. The core challenge is sitting right here on this slide. Just imagine you have a massive spreadsheet of data. It could be medical records, economic indicators, climate measurements, anything. The question is, can you teach a machine to simply look at those numbers and draw the actual map of what causes what? Not just what's correlated, but what's truly driving the outcomes. That's the holy grail, right there. So, to draw that map, scientists use a special tool called a directed acyclic graph, or a DAG for short. The easiest way to think of it is as the system's blueprint, or its wiring diagram. Directed just means the arrows of influence only go one way. It's a one-way street. And acyclic means that if you follow those arrows, you can never ever end up in a loop back where you started. It's a structure that's just perfect for representing cause and effect.
Okay, so if we know what the map should look like, why not just find the right one? Well, here's the catch. The problem is what computer scientists call NP-hard. And what that really means is, for a system with even just a handful of variables, the number of possible maps, these DAGs, is astronomical. It just explodes. Trying to check every single one is like, imagine trying to find the highest peak in the Himalayas by just randomly teleporting to different spots and checking your altitude. It's just hopelessly inefficient. There's no way you're going to find it.
So this massive, impossible search space was a huge roadblock for years. But then, back in 2018, a paper by a team of researchers introduced this brilliant idea that completely changed the game. It was a genuine breakthrough in how to even approach this problem.
What's so cool about this slide is how it lays out the shift in thinking. So instead of the old way, teleporting all over that mountain range, these researchers found a mathematical trick to turn the entire problem into a smooth, continuous landscape. This meant you could start basically anywhere and just walk uphill until you found a peak. This new approach, continuous optimization, was just vastly more efficient, and it actually made the problem solvable.
It was an absolutely amazing solution, but it had one giant catch. The method, which was named no tears, it worked by assuming all the relationships in the data were simple and linear. We're talking straight lines. But as we all know, the real world is messy, it's complex, and it is deeply nonlinear. So while it was a huge step forward, it just wasn't equipped to handle the true complexity of most real systems.
And this is where our main character, DAG GNN, finally enters the stage. It's the next evolution. The researchers who developed it, they took that brilliant walk uphill idea, but then they supercharged it. They basically gave it a neural brain, using deep learning to navigate the complex, nonlinear landscapes of real-world data.
So how does this neural brain actually work? Well, the model uses this clever technique called a variational autoencoder. Think of it like a skilled artist and a critic working together. The artist, that's the encoder, looks at all the complex, real-world data and tries to sketch its simplest, most essential blueprint. Then the critic, the decoder, takes that simple blueprint and tries to perfectly reconstruct the original, complex data from it. By training them together over and over again, the model gets incredibly good at finding the true underlying causal structure, the DAG, because that turns out to be the most efficient blueprint for rebuilding the data accurately.
Now that all sounds great in theory, but the proof is always in the data, right? So the researchers put DAG GNN in a head-to-head competition against the previous breakthrough method, no tears. And they did it using controlled synthetic data, where they already knew the right answer.
First up, the easy test, simple linear data. So on the left, that SHD measures the overall error, basically how different the predicted structure is from the truth. Lower is better. On the right, FDR is the false discovery rate, or how many fake connections the model invented, and again, lower is better. As you can see, on the simple data, it's a really tight race. The red line for DAG GNN and the blue line for no tears are super close, which shows that both methods do a pretty good job when things are straightforward.
But what happens when we switch to the messy, non-linear data? The stuff that's actually like the real world. This is where the difference becomes absolutely dramatic. Just look at that red line for DAG GNN. Over on the left, the overall error rate, the SHD, it stays nice and low, while the blue line for the old method just skyrockets. And then on the right, the false discovery rate, wow! It shows that DAG GNN makes way fewer mistakes, inventing almost zero fake connections.
This is that neural brain really paying off, big time. Okay, so winning on synthetic data is one thing. But what does this really mean for the real world? This huge leap in accuracy on complex problems, well, it opens the door to actual scientific and technological discoveries. Let's look at a couple of quick examples.
Take biology, for instance. This complex web you're looking at is a map of protein signaling inside a human cell. Understanding this is absolutely fundamental to fighting disease. The network shown here is what DAG GNN figured out from real cell data. The solid red arrows, those are correct connections it found that match what we already know from biology. But what's just as interesting are the other arrows. It also identified indirect connections and even proposed a few new ones that biologists haven't explained yet. So it's not just confirming what we know, it's pointing to where we should look next.
And it's not just for biology. The very same technology can sift through these vast databases of human knowledge to learn common sense rules. Just look at what it figured out here. It learned that a person's birthplace tends to cause their nationality, which in turn influences the languages they speak. Or that a film's production company is a pretty good causal predictor of its country of origin. The machine is literally learning the hidden logic of our world directly from the data.
So this brings us to a final, really fascinating thought. We are rapidly developing these tools, like DAG GNN, that act as a kind of microscope for causality. They let us see the invisible structures that make all these complex systems tick. It's a fundamentally new way of doing science. So the question on this final slide is the one that really matters. With this powerful new lens, what on earth are we going to discover next?